3 years ago, newly discovered evidence was introduced in the Malcolm X assassination. I always knew that the NOI, Nation of Islam, had nothing to do with the murder of Malcolm X. 2 Nation of Islam members wasn't even in the ballroom of that horrific day of February 21st, 1965. We're going to dig off into this. I debunk young Pharaoh who put out a video several years ago saying that Malcolm was killed by Farrakhan. I'm debunking all those historians who lied on Minister Farrakhan. This is King Chris, Pan-African TV, coming to set the record straight that so many of our people are brainwashed that it had to be someone from among us that had Malcolm killed. We don't want to see the unseen hand of our enemy. You know our enemy is the slave master. So you don't want to see the enemy be punished for killing Malcolm X. You want to blame it on the NOI. But I come with the proof tonight. I come with the proof. Let's ride. Let's ride. Yes, you've seen the title. You've seen the title, and I've been undefeated as I used to explain the mechanism and the trickery of the United States government. You know, I've been on time when I said the Nation of Islam had nothing to do with the murder of Malcolm X. Newly discovered evidence came out 3 years ago, and black people still believe that a black man named Minister Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, the NOI, killed Malcolm X. I beg to differ. I beg to differ, and I got the empirical evidence tonight. I'm coming right and exact every time. The NYPD and the FBI conspired to kill Malcolm X. A deathbed confession from a black police undercover cop named Raymond Woods. In a letter, he deliberately pressured Malcolm X security guards into a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty in order to get them arrested in 1965, February 21st, 1965. This security team was arrested, and that's why Malcolm was killed. The New York City undercover police, Raymond Woods, write in a deathbed confession. At the age of 39 years old, Malcolm X, 58 years ago, our shining black prince, the Messiah, as J. Edgar Hoover. Now, black people hate to point to the obvious of the unseen hand. The unseen hand of white supremacy. They the ones who killed Malcolm X. J. Edgar Hoover said there should not be a black Messiah that rise amongst black people. And he saw Malcolm X as a threat. When Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam and became a Pan-African, that's rule number one. Never become a Pan-African and you making noise. What I mean by noise, you're relevant. Pan-African philosophy is to unite all black people around the globe. That's a constant fear of white supremacists. They don't care about you being a Muslim, a Hebrew Israelite, a Christian, a Jew, a gang member, a gang banger. That's not a threat. But when you start practicing black unity, a positive, trying to create something such as civilization and nation building for your people, they coming for you. Malcolm X was a threat. Raymond Woods testified against this brother, Walter Bowe, one of the security guards who were taken off a post of protecting our brother Malcolm X, who was gunned down by the United States government. The Nation of Islam played no part. Maybe one of his members thought he carried out the assassination. One of the Nation of Islam members, who was no longer a member, who was suspended and joined Malcolm X Organization of Afro-American Unity. The Organization of Afro-American Unity was Malcolm X's new organization, which was infiltrated. We're going to get into some of this deep dialogue tonight to let black people know it's not right that you get this information and still try to hold your brother and your sister to the fire because white supremacy painted the narration and made you think the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. Why am I speaking on this? I just want to set history straight, the record straight, and let our people know that there's an unseen hand working against us. That's why we never advance either Democrat. When we vote Republican or Democrat, we never advance. They got one thing in common, Democrat and Republican. You never do anything for the advancement of black people. You never pay black people reparations for what happened to our ancestors. But the Japanese was paid reparation. Benjamin Crump introduces Khalid Saeed, who worked on Malcolm X security team. He claimed he was falsely arrested by the NYPD days before the assassination of Malcolm X. He was detained. And he believed the conspiracy by the New York police and the FBI conspired to arrest him so they would have a good hit on Malcolm X. In other words, in order to ensure Malcolm X planned assassination would be successful. Benjamin Crump is also representing Malcolm X's family, $100 million lawsuit against the FBI and the police department. It's very noting and interesting. Why does the Shabazz family don't have a lawsuit against the Nation of Islam? This new discovered evidence by Raymond Woods, who was diagnosed with cancer, has revealed a stipulated gesture to his cousin. He told his cousin that he did not want this letter of confession to be exposed till after his death. He died November 2020 of cancer. And that's when Raymond Wood's brother, Reggie Wood, give up the detail of what really happened in the assassination of Malcolm X. J. Edgar Hoover believed that Malcolm was some type of savior. John Edgar Hoover was head director of the Federal Bureau Investigation. He was the unseen hand in the assassination of Malcolm X. Check out the screen. I'm going to prove my premise that Malcolm X was murdered by the United States government. Just like Tupac Shakur, I showed you where he was murdered by the FBI. Once you have an FBI file, you are followed every day. When you reach that following power, I'm not talking about someone who's on the FBI list. They may check on them once in a while, may surveil them a couple of minutes or so. They're not really sought after. We're talking about people with large followings. There wasn't no social media like it is today when Tupac was living, but he had a large following. Malcolm X had a large following. Here's another key to this whole case. Raymond Wood in 1969 set Alfini Shakur up with the same case. This is a track record of the FBI usage trying to entrap those who part of black organizations that they're trying to bring down. This is key. What
evidence is out there that the police or the FBI is hiding, and what you are calling for? It's interesting that last week a court ruled that the disciplinary records of New York police going back for years must be released. De Blasio said they're releasing them, the mayor of New York. Not clear if they're being released at this moment. That's disciplinary records. And the police unions have been fighting this tooth and nail. What are you calling for in this case?
Well, Amy, thank you for covering this important matter as well. And to Reggie Wood, who has put forth this dying declaration letter from his cousin, Ray Wood, and documented all the corroborating evidence in the memoir that he and Lisette researched to show that everything in that letter is true. It is legitimate, and that's very important to help exonerate all those black people who were wrongfully convicted by Ray Wood's work, all those people who have been conspired against by the NYPD and the FBI, whether that be Walter Bowe, Khalid Saeed, whether it be Thomas Johnson, who was picked up, who wasn't even at the Audubon ballroom, but to ensure that Ray's cover would not be blown, was arrested and served almost 3 decades in prison for a crime of killing Malcolm X that they all knew he did not do. And also Tupac Shakur's mother, Afeni Shakur, part of the Panther 21, who Ray Wood testified against, saying that they tried to blow up New York monuments, and therefore, quite literally, she was in prison when she had her prince, Tupac Shakur, because of NYPD and the FBI were conspiring to wrongfully convict them. And as Ray Wood said in his letter, their job was to discredit civil rights organizations and black leaders. And that's why we're calling for a Malcolm X commission to be convened by the United States Congress. So his daughters, but also the people who was affected by these felonious actions of NYPD and the FBI to target black people can be exposed.
Yeah, black family. Yes, black family. This is Raymond Wood's cousin that's about to speak. I know early in the presentation I said that Raymond Wood's brother, but this is Raymond Wood's cousin. Check what he says about his cousin who infiltrated Malcolm X group and had Malcolm X assassinated. He played a part, not the Nation of Islam.
The Ray Wood story, Confessions of a Black NYPD Cop in the Assassination of Malcolm X. Still with us, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who attended that news conference with Reggie Wood at the Audubon Ballroom, now the Shabazz Center, where Malcolm X was assassinated 56 years ago. Reggie, thank you so much for joining us. You read parts of the letter this weekend. Talk about your cousin, Ray Wood, and what you understand happened. The conspiracy he alleges that he was a part of by the FBI and the New York Police Department to assassinate Malcolm X.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Ray was a complicated man. I think based on his past experiences, he lived with a lot of fear and caution on a daily basis, which he instilled in me over the past 10 years. But Ray was a person that lived as a he lived as a very quiet and reserved person because of what he had experienced. He witnessed some horrible things firsthand and also realized that he was a part of it after the fact. And so therefore, Ray was told by his handlers that not to repeat anything that he had seen or heard, or he would join Malcolm. Therefore, for 46 years, Ray separated himself from the family and in fear that he would put us in danger. Ray lived alone many years, and he finally, in his final years, when he realized that he was his cancer was reoccurring, he wanted to reconnect with family because he didn't want to die alone. So I volunteered to move him to Florida so that my wife and I could take care of him and get him back and forth to his cancer treatments, things of that nature. And therefore, he trusted me enough to reveal this information and ask me not to say anything until he passed away, but at the same time, not to allow him to take it to his grave.
You write in your book, Reggie Wood, he'd spent years living in relative obscurity, wanting to ensure the cops wouldn't preemptively act to silence him. He also feared retribution from society, especially the black community. Ray was ashamed of what he'd been a part of and felt he'd betrayed his own people. Due to his lugubrious feelings about his actions and fear for what might be done to him in retaliation, this 2015 article deeply impacted Ray. And he's talking about this news coverage from February. He was talking about the article by Garrett Felber in The Guardian that really laid out your cousin's seminal involvement here and the FBI police involvement in the assassination.
Yes, that book really details everything that happened. I felt that after consulting with Mr. Crump, I was looking for the best way to put this information out there. I wasn't sure if it was safe to turn it over to authorities. Therefore, I just wrote everything that Ray told me into this memoir and made it available to the world so that everyone would see it and hear it at the same time. And I think that's the best way to do it. It's a load off of my back because I'm no longer in fear of the government trying to quiet me as well.
I want to turn to news coverage from February 1965 about the police orchestrated plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty. This was just days before Malcolm X's assassination. This might be news to a lot of people, even old-time activists. In the video, Raymond Wood is seen being promoted for his role in that plot.
The happy ending to the plot was written by a rookie policeman who had been on the force only 8 months when he infiltrated the extremist group. His work led police to a quiet New York residential area where the dynamite had been hidden. Another arrested was Khalil Saeed, who police say went to the Statue of Liberty to buy a model and further the plot with the fourth conspirator, Walter Bowe. The hero cop, his face hidden for future undercover work, is promoted on the spot to the rank of detective. A happy climax to a bizarre story.
The arrests were carried out on February 16th, just days before Malcolm X was assassinated. And this is very significant, Reggie Wood, as you know, this so-called Statue of Liberty plot, because these men who were arrested were the security team of Malcolm X, meaning he wouldn't have them there February 21st, a few days later when he was assassinated.
That's correct. That's correct. As we were doing our research, my research assistant, Lizette Salato, really helped me put the pieces together. We whiteboarded everything that Ray said and attempted to connect it to facts that the FBI had released and that historians had pulled out. And we worked closely with some historians to try to corroborate the information that was there. And once we were able to do that, we were able to present that information to Mr. Crump and show that this was a legitimate situation that needed to be brought to light.
Now, in the 2015 article in The Guardian, historian Garrett Felber reveals notes written by the late Japanese-American activist Yuri Kochiyama. At a meeting held in 1965, she identified Ray Wood to be at the scene of Malcolm X's assassination. She wrote, quote, Ray Woods, she wrote with an S, Ray Woods is said to have been seen also running out of Audubon, was one of two picked up by police, was the second person running out, Yuri wrote. This appears to substantiate some of the accounts of a second man taken into police custody after the assassination. I spent many hours with Yuri Kochiyama talking to her at an assisted living facility at the end of her life in Oakland before she died. Can you talk about what happened at the assassination? Because Yuri is right here. She was very close to Malcolm X, up on the stage with him as well at the end after he was shot. That your cousin ran out and was taken away by police.
Yes, what Ray basically explained to me was that once he saw what was going down and he realized what had actually happened after spending time with Mr. Saeed and Mr. Bowe, he was there and he reminisced or thought about the situation with him coming into the Audubon without being checked. He thought about the fact that those guys were in prison as we spoke. And he decided he needed to get out of there. And as he was leaving, some individuals that knew him from his other undercover work, and he had been exposed somewhat from the bombing case, saw him and they attempted to grab him. As they were grabbing him, trying to restrain him, a police officer intervened and grabbed Ray and took him into the police car. And from there, they took him to the precinct and put him into a cell where he sat there for 3 to 4 hours, not knowing what was going on. The only information that he had was listening to the chatter on the radio while they were transporting him to the police station. And later that afternoon, the same two gentlemen that told him to go to the Autobahn came and removed him from his cell and drove him back home and told him, quote, "Do not speak of this again, or you will face similar consequences."
Did he know Gene Roberts, the other undercover officer, or at least one other that we know of who was there?
No, he did not. He did not know him. He did not know he was an undercover. He assumed he was part of Malcolm X's team.
This is key evidence right here. This is key. This is Khalid Saeed, one of the men who were entrapped by undercover agent Raymond Wood. So Reggie Wood, his cousin, book corroborates his story. Also, Raymond Wood's dying declaration of a letter that he left corroborates this whole story. The puzzle has been, put together.
I believe I was detained in this conspiracy by the NYPD, boss and FBI in order to ensure Malcolm X's planned assassination would be successful.
I come to expose the government. Remember what Dick Gregory said a long time ago, that the FBI killed Malcolm X? Some people call Dick Gregory crazy. I know somebody personally that called Dick Gregory an angry old man just for telling the truth. But check this out. Check this out. This is something he dropped on us a long time ago, and people said that Dick Gregory was crazy, but the puzzle is coming together thanks to the undercover cop who left that letter. You feel what I'm saying?
I knew Malcolm. I loved Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, "Brother Greg, you coming by today?" And I said, "Malcolm, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there." He said, "What do you mean, Brother Greg?" I said, "Well, I closed tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East." And I said, "But I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you. And I'm not going to be there. I love you. I don't even want to take a chance of my heart changing. So I went to Chicago. And when they came and they told me Malcolm's been killed today, I got back on the plane and came back here. Malcolm was killed because of another brother named DePinto. A lot of people thought he was African, but he was East Indian. He was born in Nairobi. He's the one that changed Malcolm's head from black nationalist to Pan-Africanism and made that connection from here to there. And the government said, we can't let this happen. He's the one that persuaded Malcolm when he went to Africa and stayed 7 weeks and met with all the real leaders. And then he's the one that discussed with Malcolm of bringing racism to the doorsteps of the UN. And as Malcolm was being shot dead in New York City, DePinto was being gunned down in Nairobi. All right. Same time. All right? Same time. So don't tell me about no black Muslims.
That's a fact.
All right. Same time.
Go ahead.
All right. Same time.
That's a fact.
So don't tell me about no black Muslims.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
The same time. Same time. Malcolm was being gunned down. Now, let me finish this by saying this. And you folks out there on radio, when we cut off, that's why you should be here. Yeah, y'all come on down. Yeah. We'll be here. We're not, you know, if you get here late, we'll be here next week. Just wait on us. You ain't got nothing to do. Nothing to do. Now, let me show you how this white racist system treats black folks. The black folks that they got to kill Malcolm, Malcolm was standing on a stage like I am. They threw a smoke bomb in the back. When everybody got to watch the commotion, the brothers ran up with double-barrel shotguns and shot him. But under the Freedom of Information Act, we were able to get the autopsy of Malcolm, and all the bullets in Malcolm is going down. Now, I can't stand on this stage and y'all down there pointing up, which means the government has such a low view of those black folks that would do it. They didn't even give them real bullets. They gave them blanks. Malcolm was shot from the ceiling top. And also under the Freedom of Information, the CIA have been forced to admit that they rented the Audubon Ballroom a week before. And that's when they went in there and tore them walls out and put them guns in the wall and shot him from a downward projection. That's what this game is about.
Yes, indeed, black people, the unseen hand of the government has always sought to destabilize the rise of black people. I find it absolutely mind-boggling how black people today, we have let our guard down and we trust white people who rule this world. They only rule this world at the expense of black people. That's how they got power. And why no one from Black America spoke on this newly discovered evidence that points to the FBI and the police who collaborated in the assassination of Malcolm X using undercover agents, not the Nation of Islam, like we have been brainwashed to believe this information, that the Nation of Islam was the one who killed Malcolm X. How come this information is suppressed by mainstream media? Where's Abdul Rahman Muhammad and all the house Negroes and historians who keep blaming the Nation of Islam, who keep blaming the Nation of Islam? Even Malcolm was wrong when he thought the Nation of Islam bombed this house 7 days before Malcolm was assassinated by the FBI. But who can blame Malcolm? He split up from a group, an organization who didn't like what he said about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then he had the FBI trying to kill him, which they succeeded. This is that real information. Black people, this is only part one. We're going to come back with a part two. Mash up the likes, share this video. This is Pan-African TV. Peace. Black Power.